Truth Talkers. Welcome back to another episode of Teattime Truth Talk with your host, Alicia, and my father.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Rev Rich.
I told you he's back. And we have another talk for you guys today. And before we get to it, as always,
Subscribe, like, share this. Again, the message may not be for you today, but I guarantee you there's somebody waiting for this message somewhere. Hit that bell so that you know that where we are. And again, we are now uploading our episodes to podcast. So if you happen to be driving or walking and don't want to be sitting there looking at a screen, join our podcast and subscribe to that as well.
I'm sorry, I think we have beautiful faces, but that's besides the point. No. So topic today, or at least what it's called today, I thought it was pretty funny, was called Cheater, Cheater, Pumpkin Eater. So if you haven't figured out what the topic was, and the situation was today based on the topic, the situation goes like this. I have this argument with my friends all the time about what is cheating and what is not. Can you tell us what cheating is to you, and how would you handle certain situations?
Well, I will be honest with you because I just had this talk with her. My thought pattern behind it has evolved over years. You know, I was born and raised in traditional Catholicism. So, of course, thou shalt not commit adultery was put into my head. And I could do a whole lesson on what adultery actually means now. But we live in a world now that a lot of those traditions have broken away. So, you know, we just had that conversation. We have people who claim to be polyamorous. And you can look that up. I'm not going to get into the whole explanation of what that is, okay? We have people who live in open marriages for whatever reason. Then there are people who are not committed to each other. So, you know, they're dating, but they're not exclusive. So it's hard to say a lot of times what exactly cheating is other than the very specific, this couple has said, I and you are only going to be exclusive, which means no one other than you, no one other than me, that's it. Now you go outside that contract or that commitment, then yes, that's where I feel cheating is happening because you made that choice. You decided this is the person for me and I want no one else. And that person decided you're the person for me, there's no one else. And you've said that openly. There's no loopholes, there's no nothing. It is just, that's what it is. And then you go outside of that, then at that point, I feel that if you feel it that much necessary, then break it off because you have made a commitment. And anybody who knows me knows what commitments mean to me. You know, if you ever hear the word promise out of my mouth, you know I will die trying to keep that promise. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, affirm that. And it's like, it has nothing to do with affirming. It just tells you how serious I take the word commitment and the word promise. So if my wife and I may have been living a crazy life and I said, well, from this point forward, I promise, I've made a commitment. I put a stamp, a signature, whatever you want, I signed it in blood, saying that this is how it's going to be.
He makes the joke all the time where it's like he could literally be on his deathbed, but will not die until he gives somebody the $10 he owed them. Like, he will stay there until the $10 is paid. And I'll be like, oh my God. That's just, oh boy.
But it is true. And again, you should have that faith in each other. You know, and it goes back to the other. If you're a couple and you say, you know, I'm polyamorous, and you decide to get into that relationship, you can't change that person. You accepted what that person was.
Yeah.
You know, if that person says, I'm not looking for a relationship right now, and you guys decide to do whatever, be intimate, whatever, you can't sit there and say, well, this is that, so now you got to change. You're not here to change that person. You accept that person for who it is. But if in the end result, that person says, you know what, I want this, and you say I want this, and that's it, and you break that covenant, you break that commitment, then yes, at that point, that's where the definition of cheating would be for me.
Okay. I have a couple different things for cheating, because again, with different generations, like especially, like you said, you were in Catholicism, I've been in unity since I was a child, so cheating is like a little bit different for me, and especially with the generation that I have, it's more of, for when we think of what kind of cheating is for us, it's more of, is it emotional, is it mental, or is it physical? So for me personally, I think it's all the above.
I mean, it could be. I mean, but the point is, again, what it depends on what you mean by emotional. So if it goes to the point of you're treating your boyfriend like crap, but he finds someone to treat him lovingly, but he loves you enough not to whatever, but he finds more time spending with them, technically by definition that could be emotional cheating, but he's not getting what you made a covenant to do. So
I get that. I think for those situations, though, it's like, again, it's more of the fact of if your spouse, let's say girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, let's say the girlfriend isn't treating the guy right, then at that moment, the guy has to make the decision to whether to, and even if he does find somebody that does treat him right, he has to make the decision to either do one of two things. One, go to his significant other and say, we need to talk, lay it down the line, or just break it off with her. Because I see cheating as like, okay, so you're going to sit here. You're with somebody, they're not treating you right, you're not getting the emotional connection you were getting from. But you find it with somebody else. So you're going to sit here and constantly sneak around with this other person, pretending like you're not cheating on your significant other. Then you have to come up with a bunch of lies to pretend that you're not doing what you're doing. Then you gotta not only, because then there's money that's also involved sometimes. Now you gotta do random transactions and all this other things when all you could have done is said, hey, I'm not feeling what we're feeling. So we either fix it or we leave. So you went through this whole 20, 30, 50 step process that could have taken 2 seconds. I'm too lazy for that. I can't do that.
See, the only problem through that whole thing, all I heard was the theme song of Mission Impossible, because it's like, I'm like, if you got to go through all that, then...
But that's how that's with our generation, and maybe generations before, that's how a lot of people go.
But you got to think about that, though, because based on what you just said, that person that went through Mission Impossible 7 there, okay, already knew it was wrong.
Okay.
Okay? So I'm gonna get a little biblical on you, because that biblical verse matches exactly what you just said. Jesus said that if a man looks upon another woman with lust, he has already committed adultery in his heart. Oh. So this guy, so again, adultery is, if we take a quick metaphysical lesson on him, adultery technically means anything that is not of God, literal sense, or anything that's not of good. So by him automatically saying, well, she's not giving me what I want, but I don't want to lose her. But for me not to lose her, I got to start running a spy scam over here. And that. You know what I'm saying? You've already, in your mind, made it wrong.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. As opposed to, so I use myself an example. I have a friend who has the same name as I have. He used to tease me because no matter where I was constantly surrounded by women. Mm-hmm. Now, there was nothing wrong in my heart, because I remember the one time we were joking because it was a party he threw. And we were at the restaurant where we had the party. And it reminded me of an old Jay-Z song, because he says, I'm surrounded by, with women at a table, and you're surrounded by a table of men. But literally, I'm sitting surrounded by women talking about my children, talking about this, talking about that, like one of the girls. So there was nothing wrong with it in my heart. So to me, no matter what situation I wasn't cheating. I was just happened that for some reason, I always seemed to attract more of the feminine energy around me. Whereas he was, the dude and this and that, we want to be cool about it. But you're the one looking for the woman, and you're over there with all the guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to me, that's where that comes into play. Is like, by him feeling that he had to do all that to sneak around.
Oh my God. The stories.
You know what I'm saying? He already said it was wrong. He didn't even have to do all of that. He's already said he was wrong. There's no figuring that out. Mm-hmm. If I have to sneak around, I make this joke with my wife all the time. I said, I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm not going to tell you everything. But the day you ask, be prepared for the answer, because I'm not going to lie to you.
Oh boy.
I mean, I make the jokes of, if I have to tell you where their bodies are buried. You know.
Well?
No. You know what I'm saying? So the point is that it's like, it's one thing if you find company with somebody. So, we'll just use you are dating some guy, And, I believe you would be better than that, but let's just say you're treating him like crap. And he finds himself drawn to another girl, but he's not doing Mission Impossible 12 over there. He just literally says,
it starts simple and then it gets crazy after a while.
He's hanging out with so and so. They go to TGI Fridays, get some appetizers, and they just, what I don't like, which is bitching and moaning all day.
Yeah.
whatever. They're talking out their problems. They're doing nothing but literally the only reason that people will see it as wrong is because she's a female.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? As opposed to it's just like another friend. But he's not doing anything wrong. He's not sneaking around. He told you he was going out. He told you he was going to do that. And that's it. That's what I said. So the actions and the perspective that you take, if I got to run Mission Impossible and call in DEFCON 4 to hide what I'm doing, you might as well just quit because you've done it wrong already.
Oh my God.
But if I'm honest and say, look, you know what? I need some time apart. I'm going to go with my friend. And all I'm literally doing is restaurant, drinking, whatever it is, and that's it. Then some people will still label it as cheating, but it really isn't. He's just going out with another person. Whatever they identify as shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Now that just brings up insecurity in the other person.
Yeah, because it did happen. Well, it didn't happen to me. Cheating did not happen to me. But but your situation is very similar where I was at, where it was when I was dating my ex. He actually ended up calling me, and he literally asked me if he can go to his friend's bachelorette party because they had like the dancers. I don't know. I don't think they're strippers, but there's a name for them. But they had the dancers and all the females and stuff. And he called me and he asked, and I was like, okay, I don't care. Have fun. And he's like, I promise I won't let them dance on me. And I was like, wait a minute. I don't care. Why would you deprive yourself of a good time? I mean, don't sleep with them. That would be nice. Or don't kiss them. That's a little over it. But have fun. And it was like later on that day, I had the girls called me and they were like, oh my God, did you know that he's going out with his friends and hanging out with the dancers and stuff? And he's going to be doing, I was like, he called me a couple hours ago asking me if I can go. I told him it was okay. Oh, stop trying to get him in trouble. But it was just like, it was one of those things where he even was like, oh, okay. Because it's with, like I said, my generation is so with the insecurities and cheating is a lot where it's like no one has that trust anymore. But
I think that right there is what we're talking about. It's the trust. I've been in a relationship prior to your mother where I was, again, always drawn to whatever. And I happened to have a job that was predominantly women. I mean, when I graduated from the police academy, I should say, to become a civilian, there was 97 people in that class, 4 were men. Okay? So when we went out as co-workers, that's where I got to see, I think it was a beauty shop, I got to see the play. But again, I went with 4 other women because we went as co-workers. But I was in a relationship that just because of their sex, they felt that I was looking to cheat. And I'm like,
that's a lot of work.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I went to see a damn play at the Beacon Theater. That's all I went for. And when we left, I got on my train, they got on their train, and we went our separate ways. We see each other every day. We have lunch at the job. It literally was that. It was just a co-worker experience. But because the person was insecure in herself, that person felt that anything with anyone. I was videotaping one time when videotapes, I mean, again, my camera was like this big, so that tells you how old I am. And it just so happened that I'm videotaping the kids, but this girl waves. So again, I just thought she was being sarcastic. In my head, nothing wrong. In her eyes, I was trying to film this woman. Mind you, this 20 to 30 minutes of kids on the damn video. But it tells you it's the insecurity. And again, this goes back to that responsibility thing. Because if I'm so worried in what you're doing, maybe I shouldn't be in that relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean, we don't get jealous or whatever. I mean,
I've been there.
We all do. I mean, your mother and I, 20 years, and I'll be like, who is she talking to? You know,
I'm pretty sure half the time, if you talk about your ex for something other than being an ex, this woman comes out of the great blue, ready to throw something at you. I'm like, I am in the middle. I choose life.
but the whole point is that it's, there's still the human emotion, but it's when it's taken to a limit that you're creating these stories now. So and so is at McDonald's right now, and there's three women sitting next to him. Well, he's cheating because those three women could have chose any other table but the one next to him. Mind you, if you look at the whole picture, every table's taken, but somehow they could have been somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So it's that, I'm joking about it, but people do that. We get to that point of, we create stories in our mind because it's easier to blame somebody else. So we label things like cheating. Well, you spoke to this girl yesterday. Your ex called you to tell you her mother died. Well, you were cheating. Wait, what? I've known this woman. I knew this girl for 4 years. Mother died. She calls me to tell me her mother died. Okay. And I've been there. I know what it is. You get jealous about whatever, or you become insecure because maybe somebody was in the person's life before or something. But it is still your choice to either rise above it or to fall into it, but then understand that every action has a reaction.
Yeah.
So when the consequences come back, your hope better be that you chose the right reaction, because if that consequence comes back to bite you, one of my relationships that I ended was because of that. It just got to the point that everything I did was always something else. And I'm like, I can't live in this distrust. If I did something wrong, I can understand it, but I hadn't done anything. But it was because of her insecurities or her whatever that it would never happen, because I couldn't live in that. I got to be playing Mission Impossible like,
oh,
he got to be like.
Had time. I would tell you all the stories. That's why I made it to seem like that, because there are people out there right now doing exactly that, and I'm sitting there like, but you could have just. But all right, I'm gonna sit here and just.
But it is true. It is true, because you have, and you're right, and it goes back to action reaction. Because you think about it, there are people doing that right now who probably don't even have to do it. Because you think about it, if I wasn't with your mother right now and I'm dating Lady A, and we're not exclusive, and I'm dating Lady B, and we're not exclusive, but because in my mind somebody told me that I was cheating, I'm now playing Mission Impossible 6 and 7 to see each other, where there's no need for it until the day that I say, I choose you. You know what I'm saying? So there are people out there who will do that because in their mind, it actually excites them to be on the sneak trip, even though they don't have to be.
They really don't. But I think we did answer those. But there was something else they did add on here, where they wanted to know as well. So we did talk about like the generals, like if they're sitting hanging out with females and stuff, but what? So again, typical cheating, like you said, if you're breaking that commitment. So we'll go with the physical cheating, where it's like they're sleeping with somebody else, or they're making out with somebody else. They wanted to know, how would you handle that situation? So they had one like, so let's say you come home and you catch your husband or wife sleeping with somebody else. How do you handle that? How do you react to that?
That's your choice, regretfully.
Oh my God, don't tell them that, because somebody's going to set somebody's house on fire.
Well, again, we're not talking about breaking laws here. But what I'm saying by choice is, did this person know that this person was like that and still yet decided to be in that relationship? So catching this person, was it really a surprise? Or you just got lucky and caught them in the act, as opposed to you already knew what was going on?
Yeah.
But if we're going to take it to a literal sense, what was the relationship entailed? So you come home, or you come to this person's house, whichever happened, and this person happens to be there with this person. Are you exclusive? Because then if you are, and he broke that commitment or she broke that commitment, then your answer is there. You have to choose. Am I going to stay or am I going to go? If it wasn't a committed relationship and you just happen to walk in during a time he's with someone else.
Awkward.
Exactly. your whole point again is
Mm-hmm.
you have to look in your mind and say, well, I know I'm not exclusive, so let me just close the door and walk away,
Yeah.
and not make a big thing out of it, unless you're telling yourself these stories. But again, if in the literal sense of the whole thing, if there was a commitment between the two of you, there was a covenant, as they say, and you both said, I'm here and I'm here, then, and you come home and find that out, then yes, my reaction would be, I wouldn't even react. I'd literally be like, okay, obviously he didn't want to keep up his end of the bargain. I don't want to keep up my end of the bargain now. I'm walking.
Pack up. Leave.
Yeah, there's a whole song, get your luggage, get the hell on.
It's that Beyonce song. I gotta remember where it goes, but that's literally it. It's like, he'll be here in a minute. Get out. No, okay. But yeah, because it's times where it's like you think about it, because you have like the TV and stuff, and they show the craziness of a person and doing the extreme when they catch someone cheating. But then there are realities where people are in those situations where it's like they are being cheated on. What do we do? Because you have those crazy people be like, burn his stuff and kick him out, and then you have those other people who are like, just walk away. And then you're sitting there like, well, what do I do?
Walk away.
I mean, yeah. But again, it's one of those topics where it's like, it does differ on the person and it does differ on the situation, as like we've said.
At the end, we all know that you guys like drama, and that's the issue.
I mean,
it's true. I mean, I don't know how many times I've walked away from a situation or a relationship. And I remember my first girlfriend, I walked away and we saw each other 2 years later. She goes, damn, you disappeared or whatever. Yes, I no longer wanted to be in this relationship. Mm-hmm. I had been in a situation where we were committed to each other, and she decided to because her mother told her. Now, we were in high school, so whatever, but still. I mean, we were out of high school at that point. We had already graduated, but still, we were in that age.
Mm-hmm.
And it was her mother convinced her that it is, you shouldn't be with one guy, whatever. She did her thing. I forgave her. But after a while, it was like, now I have to worry whether it's going to be happening again. And I said, I didn't want that.
Yeah.
So we ended up breaking up. She went her way, I went my way. Why would I go back to entertain that anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we made a conscious choice to get back together and try, that's a different story. So in her eyes, it was like, oh, no, we should have been friends. Especially back then, I was too immature to deal with that. Now, it may be a whole different story. But, back then I was 19, 18, 19, like,
Mm-hmm. So is it because of drama that people do keep going back to the same person?
I believe so, because and this can be a whole other talk too.
Oh, yeah.
We as people tend to, all right, so there's something called the batter's wife syndrome. And I hate to use that term because it's a very sad thing. But it's when women are being treated toxically, whether it's emotional abuse, physical abuse, but because that's what they know, mm-hmm. they keep going back to it. And even when they leave the person, they attract men or women the same way over and over because their mind says, I don't deserve more. I can't be more. This is what I know.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So, regretfully, that's what happens. So, and I mean, I know some of your friends' stories, you've already told me some, where they keep getting the same type of guy or the same type of girl over and over and over again. And it's not that they're bad people, but because their mind says, this is the type of person I like. And as I said, if you check out Wisdom Wednesday, my talk, it was about that, where our mind, our subconscious mind is programmed to believe that either we're not worthy, this is what we deserve, or that's just the way it is.
Oh boy.
All that does is we can filter perfect man or perfect woman into your relationship, but it's going to taint that picture because of what you believe. So what you're looking for now is actually another man or another woman to treat you the same way the last person did. And it happens over and over and over again. And until you take the responsibility to say, wait a minute, it's not them, it's me, because I keep looking for this.
Yeah.
And fix you, then you'll start to see.
We can't give them like a little slap in the back of their head and be like, hurry up. Because let me tell you, some of my friends, like some friends of mine who are just like that, I'm like, come on, can we get past this? Like, I'm a little tired of recycling the drama and then sitting here hearing the same thing over and over again with 20 different people. Like, it's I'm trying to be there, but like, it's a little hard after a while. It's like repeating the same episode over and over again and never getting to the next one.
As in what I teach at Unity, I can only fix me. I can't fix the people around us.
Yeah.
But you can be the great example. So if you're falling into those same traps and expecting someone else to change, there's a problem. You've got to be the example for that. And I'm not saying just you, I'm talking about anybody listening. You want to be the example. If you listen to this talk today and realize and got that aha moment, as they say, that says, you know what? He's right. My last couple of relationships have all been pretty much the same. Different people, but pretty much the same. Then obviously it's something I'm doing wrong. What it is about me, and do the work. You know, I'm a life coach. I'm a minister, you know, and I've always had my door open for anyone who wants to, you know, need help, whether it's counseling, ministerial counseling, or just life coaching. Because I know what it was that I needed coaches in my life to make me think right. You know, my wife and I hit 20 years, but trust me, there was a point there where we were about to sign divorce papers because it was like neither one of us wanted to look at ourselves in the mirror. But when we did, we realized we couldn't keep pointing fingers at each other. We were bringing luggage and baggage and the airplane with us from our last relationships into this one. And all that was doing was causing a traffic jam. But when we cleared that out and said, okay, now we can come back with who we truly are, here it is 20 years later, we're still together. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying we have a perfect marriage. We all have our ups and downs and whatever, but we're in a better place because we no longer point fingers at each other, but we can now have a discussion, have a disagreement, turn around, look in the mirror and say, what part did I play in that situation? And when we do that, then we can return back to that talk and say, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where it is. And I have this conversation all the time when I talk to my wife about how I feel. It's never the person's fault that I may be mad at, that I may be whatever. I usually say this is what happened, but it triggered something that came from somewhere in the past that I'm still healing. And that's what it is. You know, so that's what, at the end of the day, we started off with cheating today. But in the end, if you want the right relationship for you, you have to be the right person for yourself.
Absolutely. And with that, yeah, right? Like you said, we started with cheating and we went off. But all in all, it all ties in together. So as for a summary with cheating, again, it is different perspectives. And like he said, if you are exclusive and they've let you know, or you're a polyamorous relationship or whatever, and do look that up, then you can't consider it cheating. But if you did make that commitment and you try to withhold it and then one of you decide to break it off, then yeah, that is kind of cheating. If you do catch your significant other in the act, it is up to you to decide whether you're going to stay with that person or leave. And like we said, for the relationship itself, you want a good relationship, you have to take that step and you have to look at yourself and see if you see within yourself to find yourself being better, to find better, and things like that. But with that being said, we love you. Nothing you can do about it. We'll see you next time.